are you? It's nice to see you.
It's nice to see you. I'm so glad I made it. We had a terrible storm and I had messaged you. I was afraid I was going to be late, but it all worked out.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm so glad you made it here as well. A storm? Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah, we had a big, and I work an hour from home, so but I made it.
Yay. And you've just got a new job, haven't you?
What's that?
You've just got a new position, haven't you, at work?
No, no, I've been
No?
there about 5 years. Yeah, I've been where I'm at.
Oh,
Are you talking about the post about being medical director
yes, you got
somewhere?
promotion, didn't you?
That's actually a voluntary position for a nonprofit organization. So we raise money for women
Mhm.
who need a supplemental imaging because of dense breast tissue.
Oh, wow. That's
So because
incredible.
some women can't afford MRI if their insurance doesn't cover it or whole breast ultrasound.
Hmm.
So the Operation Breast Density raises money for that. And so that's a volunteer position. So that's not my position. So I've been at the same place for about 5 years.
Oh, Lisa, that's so incredible though, because obviously the medical system is so different over in the States to how it
Oh
is in
yeah.
England.
Oh, you
And
know it is.
it's just so sad though, isn't it? That,
Yeah.
you can have access to healthcare if you have the money. Otherwise it's like, no, sorry. So
It can be like that. Yeah.
these
It can be like
non-for-profits are
that.
so important, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm pretty excited about it. We're going to have a gala um, the first weekend in September. We're raising money,
Oh,
selling tickets, and it's my family's going to go. I'm going to drag them.
awesome. That
Just
sounds
a reason to get
incredible.
dressed up too, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, because you like the
Yeah.
glam as well, don't you? And I
Of
love
course
your
I
look.
do.
You're very striking as well. You're quite unique.
Well, thank you. Back at ya. I was
Ah,
reading about I was reading
mm,
about
ah,
you feeling like you look different. And I was like,
yeah.
"Oh my God, I can relate to that, right? There's so many things I can relate to." And I told my daughter who does have ADHD, I'm like, you need to read this. I really enjoyed it. I
Oh,
like it.
thank you.
I told my daughter, I told you about Izzy, she's 25, and
Hmm.
I've told her all about you, and I told her about the book, and I said it's amazing because it's kind of half memoir, half guide.
Yes, yeah. I really wanted to be able to help people because I do coaching work, but it feels like it's not enough sometimes. I deal with clients that don't have money in social work, and then I deal with clients privately who have access to me because they have the finance. But there's
Yeah,
so many people that I would love to be able to teach my tools that you can't
yeah.
find in other places. And so I thought, what better way to do that than to put it in a book?
Oh, somebody asked the title of the book because they're seeing it reversed. It's ADHD Remastered. It's Susie's book, and it's great.
Thank you. And what about your book, though? I don't have a physical copy here with me because I read it on the Kindle and I was
Oh,
glued,
I'll.
literally.
My daughter just ran to grab one.
Did she? And I was glued. I was like, oh my goodness. And when you said, like, hold on because it's going to get, gripping, it gets really interesting. I'm like, oh
Yeah,
my goodness.
I said, hang in there. I'm going to spill the tea.
You
There it
spill the
is.
tea, and she does. And it's hard to see. You can't see the tea leaves either. You don't see what's
No,
coming. You
no,
don't, do you?
uh-uh. No,
No,
no, I don't think you see it, but it gets there about
it
halfway through. I
does.
think it starts to really, the roller coaster takes off.
Yeah, and then you start to put the pieces together, and then it's like you
Mhm.
can't stop reading it. It's so gripping, and the way you tell the story is so great. But it's
Oh,
also
thank
like
you.
I felt so crushed for you at the same time because
Yeah.
it's all falling apart, and you're just waiting for it to all fall apart. But it's just
Yeah.
like, oh, I mean,
You know it's going to, right?
you
Somebody
know
said
it's
the
going
adopted
to.
nurse. Yes, it's called The Adopted Nurse. And
Yes.
Susie's book is ADHD Remastered, and mine is The Adopted Nurse. And they're both on Amazon.
They are. And Lisa's book is really incredible. And I thought as well that you've done it in a really wonderful way, and you've shared a lot of wisdom on really difficult subjects within the book, because there are different themes around it. So for people that are watching the video, to introduce them a little bit to your story. So Lisa is an infant adoptee, aren't you? So when was you
Yes.
adopted
I'm
into
an
your family?
I think I was about 6 weeks old. So yes, I'm an infant adoptee, closed adoption.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what was your mum's situation, your biological mum's situation? Because they're all
So
different, aren't they?
she, yeah, she was 19 and
Mm.
it was your typical baby scoop era where she was in a Catholic family
Mm-hmm.
that um it was very much, lots of shame, lots of secrets, and
Yeah.
she did say she was raped. And as you read in the book, it's hard to tell, now I'm still not sure I have that answer whether or not my birth mom was raped, even though I've met my birth father. But
Yeah.
she did say, and of course the her mother went with the fact that she was raped, and she wasn't allowed to come home. She was sent to a home for unwed mothers, just like typical baby
Oh,
scoop
I
Catholic
know.
Catholic Catholic home. It was called Marilec, stood for without marriage or lack of marriage. And
Mm.
she didn't come home until after she had me. And then there's a little bit of a mixed, I'm not sure how much of this is true, but she my one aunt thinks she brought me home for a couple weeks and then had to give me up, and then my other aunt said she can't remember that. My twin aunts were 13 at the time, and they just wanted a baby. They wanted her to be able to keep me, but my birth grandmother did not want that. So she basically, like I said, typical baby scoop. She had no resources, no
No.
support, and 19 years old. And then she actually passed away at 26 from leukemia.
It's so sad. So
Yes,
incredibly
very
sad.
sad. She was
Yeah.
married twice, and I think she was on her way to a second divorce. So I think she just struggled. She struggled. And looking back and what I've learned, and I found my birth mom's family in my mid 30s under the auspice of, oh, I want my medical records, right?
Yeah.
And then you go down that rabbit hole and you find out more,
Mm.
and you can't stop at that point. And but
Mm.
it turned out on that side to really be for the better. My aunts are in my life and they're amazing. I have amazing uncles, and
Yeah.
my one uncle, their brother, passed away a couple of years ago. We were very close. So my birth mother's siblings are amazing and they're in my life, and I'm grateful.
Oh, I'm so pleased for that. I think the access to the biological family is so important.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how do you feel like when you met them and your relationship with them? Do you feel connected to something that you never felt connected to through them? And can you feel
I
parts of
did.
yourself in them?
I did, and I do. I think as I got older and more recently,
Hmm.
I think for a long time, I felt like, well, they probably just love me or say they love me because they're supposed to. And more recently, I
Yeah.
think after some of the experiences I went through with my birth father, more recently, I look at my aunts very differently, and meaning that now I really feel, no, they don't love me just because they have to. They really do.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
but I've really only been able to let myself accept that in recent years, just in the last, not very long here, but
It's an interesting and it's a very important part of being an adoptee though, isn't it? Because our relationship dynamic is completely different. We grow up in a completely different dynamic, and we are made to feel like we should be thankful and grateful for things that are just basic necessities for other children. Like we should just be
yeah.
grateful to have a roof over your head and have parents that love you. And it's like, it really does put you on the back foot of feeling like maybe you don't deserve the things that everybody else does. And I think that's very unconscious in a lot of us for a long time.
Well, I think for me, everything was always growing up, and it wasn't my parents' fault. I had
Mm,
beautiful adoptive parents. I really was
yeah.
so fortunate. But things felt very transactional for me. And
Yes.
in some
Yeah.
ways, every now and then it still does feel transactional. If I'm good enough, I'll be kept.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why initially I felt that maybe my birth aunts just love me because they're supposed to, is it transactional? But it's not. I've come to
Yeah.
understand that. But I still do struggle with feeling like I have to work for relationships. Um,
Mm.
you know, so
Yeah.
it's that's still a struggle. And
I
we talk
100%
about
get
that
that.
and we talk about that imposter syndrome. I
Mm.
think imposter syndrome can be harder for adoptees,
Oh, 1,000,000%. Yes,
right?
definitely. Yeah, because we are basically lone islands for such a long time, and it's so
Yeah.
hard to explain that to people. I mean, I didn't know. I had an adopted brother in my family, but he was from a different family, and he had more serious learning disabilities. He actually had fetal alcohol syndrome. So he didn't really understand that he was adopted and stuff. So I couldn't have these conversations with him for such a long time. I didn't know anybody else that felt like me. So I think
Yeah.
that when you don't know that, you can't discover those parts of yourself externally through other people. You just kind of are a lone island, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, my little poodle
Yeah.
just barked. But
But
yeah, that's very true. And I think the more you get to know other adoptees and you
mm-hmm,
connect with folks, like connecting with you has been amazing because there's
too.
so many similar themes. We come from very different backgrounds and have different experiences. And I always say all stories matter. They're
Mm,
different, they're all different, but there's these common threads that you can connect with people, especially some of the experiences are so viscerally understood that you can't
yes.
necessarily get from folks who haven't lived that experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's this, for me, I felt like I really carried a lot of my mother's sorrow as well. And I feel like I still do. And I think that's another layer that people don't seem to really understand. And a lot of what women had to go through generationally in the past of having a child, out of wedlock or having your child taken into care or, the lack of support and stuff that was around and how
Mhm.
shameful it was back then
Yeah, the
was
shame.
just terrible. I mean, I read a really horrifying statistic that, adoptees are 35 times more likely to try and end their life by suicide. And biological mothers are 37 times more likely. And they're 600 times more likely to die by suicide, which I think is just shocking. But I think
Tragic.
those statistics are really important.
Hmm. And I think I've thought too about the grief my birth mother felt that I
Yeah.
don't think growing up I understood. I always wondered, why was I given up? The whole abandonment, and now understanding more through my aunts about who she was and what she experienced, and also reading more about the baby scoop era and what that really means. And
Yeah.
Gretchen Sisson's book, Relinquished, amazing and very eye opening about understanding birth mothers' experiences. That
Mm.
now, even though my birth mom didn't die from suicide, she died a tragic death, of, a very acute illness. And I wonder sometimes how much did that grief manifest in an illness?
Yeah, definitely. And I think, when they talk about adverse childhood experiences and how that gives you a higher chance of dying from things like, cancer and heart attack and illnesses and suffering with mental health, I think that it doesn't just stop there. I think that that's just one layer of it. I think that having a really traumatic experience that literally echoes on and on when you're older
Hmm.
can also have a devastating effect on people. I think it doesn't
Hmm.
end in your childhood. So, yeah, I think it's really important. I think people have a lot to learn about adoptees and biological families and the whole adoption experience, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I was really
I think,
surprised learning about child development recently, and the idea that it doesn't really matter about what happens before you're born. And I'm just like sitting there thinking, why do I know more than my lecturer does on this? Just feels uncomfortable. Do you know what I mean? But
mm-hmm.
there's so much more to discover.
Oh yeah. I think we're unpeeling the onion of attachment and attachment trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I do think every story is different. And
Oh, absolutely.
I spoke to
Yeah.
someone the other day who Simon Ben, and
Oh, I
it
spoke to
was
him
a
recently as well.
yeah, and
Yeah.
amazing. I
Mm.
love what he had to say about the primal wound being a spectrum. So
Oh, absolutely.
not everyone's experience is going to be the same.
No, it's
So
not.
it may be different for a closed infant adoptee as opposed to someone adopted at 3 years old and these
Mm-hmm.
situations open. It's just going to be a different experience.
Yes.
I loved what he had to say about that.
Yes, absolutely. And he also said something to me which I remembered and I really, really love as well, about that we must be mindful that we're judging 20th century wounds on 21st century awareness. And I said, that's so true. So true. And I think that we all need to be mindful of that, whether we were adopted as babies or not. I mean, I think there's this tendency now to be aware of like our parents and generational trauma and stuff. And sometimes we need to remember they didn't have access to all the stuff that we have now.
No, no. I think now the awareness of trauma informed care
Mm,
and adoptive parents maybe being more
yeah.
involved in that so that they can have more preparation. They talk adoption's going to exist,
Mm,
and I think
yeah.
some of the reform comes from adoptive parents having a lot more awareness.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There was a really interesting reform report that got made in England last year and got published. It's very, very lengthy, but it really focuses on a lot of what adoptees are saying about, there being more support, about having more access to biological origins. All of this has
Hmm.
been discovered, and professionals have all come together to say, yes, this is damaging for identity. We need to try and keep them within the biological family. So now, for the first time over here, when kids are being adopted, I've heard of a few stories where because the parents, the biological parents, are not able to support that child, doesn't mean that they look to put them in a different family immediately. They actually start to look at the extended biological family now, which I think is
More of a
wonderful.
kinship. Yeah, more of a kinship.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think from what I'm understanding, Europe is doing a better job at reform, I think, than the United
Absolutely.
States.
Yeah. But
From what I'm learning.
the issue we still have is that there is still no protection over taking an infant from their mother. And I just don't think that that's okay. I just don't. And I don't think all the situations merit that. I mean, you can't take a kitten and you can't take a puppy away from their mum. And we
Hmm.
know that it's
So
damaging
quickly.
for mother and
Hmm.
baby to take that newborn away, but it still happens. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I've heard someone else make that point that when you adopt a puppy, they're,
Yes.
12 weeks old.
Yeah, and they go home with a blanket or something from the mum, don't they?
Hmm.
For the
Yep.
scent. There's
Yep.
that all that consideration, and it's not the same with a human baby, and I
No,
don't really understand why, because we
no,
are mammals.
especially closed adoption. I only
Mm,
have things of my birth mothers now because of my birth aunts, because they saved
yeah.
some things. So now I have some pictures and some,
Do
things to,
you?
yeah, yeah, I do. I have some things of hers. I actually have a little ceramic figurine that she made while she was at the home for unwed mothers. And I have her
Oh,
poems. They're in the book, her poems,
yes.
which mean so much to me. I
Yeah.
remember reading them in my 30s and it was so overwhelming. And I'm reading them now and it just is so, I'm processing it differently, feeling like I really understand her more now than I think I ever have.
Mm, that's wonderful. I'm glad you have something to keep and to read again and
Mhm.
again. For me, I do that with
Yeah.
my adoption papers. And I think, I mean, I've heard so many different stories over people not even having access to papers. And I've got like
Hmm.
a mini book. And every
Yeah.
time I read it, I notice something different or I look at it in a different way. It's so
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah. It's tragic. I think sometimes even with transracial adoptees where there are no records or there is no way to trace it, it's, it shouldn't be that way.
No, it absolutely should not. And I made some notes when I read your book, and there were things that I could relate to. And as soon as the love bombing started, I was like
Oh,
immediately I was able to recognise she's being
yeah.
love bombed right now because I've been a victim of narcissistic abuse as well. And it's horrendous. You really do get sucked in by these people. And what I
Yeah.
really was the triangulation as well between you and his partner and the way he kept you guys separate
Hmm.
um, was
And relaying
just
everything to me
yes,
on a
yeah,
regular basis, even now, even now. Yep. It's
yes,
and I didn't recognize that because I think if you've never been in that kind of relationship and been exposed to that, you don't know the difference between
no,
love bombing and love and
no,
attention. And when you're an adoptee and you're seeking attention and you've got this fantasy come true of your actual birth parent that you your
100%.
whole life wanted that connection and
Mm-hmm.
it means so much to you and you don't see it, you just want that love and that connection. And
Yeah.
it wasn't until through therapy and later that I really understood what love bombing was.
Mm. Yeah, and I think, of course, in that situation as well, when you've been waiting your whole life, and then you
Hmm.
finally have. So, do you want to tell the story of how you actually found your birth father?
Yeah, he so I was 52, I'm 57 now, and my daughter bought us some ancestry DNA kits, and she and my husband were the first ones to do them, and I didn't think anything of it. I was perfectly satisfied knowing my birth mom's side. And really, my husband would ask me, "Don't you wonder who your father is?" And I'd be like, "Well, I do, but I also have questions,
Yeah.
um, because of the whole rape story. So maybe I'm better
Mm.
off. I don't know." Well, then one day my daughter sends off her spit, and she did it first, she and my husband. And we're sitting there one night and her results came through and she's like, "Oh my gosh, mom, we're this and I'm this and I'm this." And then she goes, "Who's this guy?" And I look and I said, "I don't know." Because all I can think of was, I know everybody. Who could it possibly be? I know everybody. I know. And so she looked at how high the relationship was and she said, "Oh my God." And I looked at her and she looked at me. And at the exact same time, I said, "That's my birth father."
Mm.
So it was like 11:30 at night. I woke my husband up and I was like, "Oh my God." And so the next morning, um, I didn't do anything about it personally reaching out. I did a background check. I actually paid to have a professional background check done, and just in case. And then I let it go. And about 8 months went by. And I one day looked down at my phone and I had a message from Ancestry DNA from him. And it felt very surreal, like I couldn't even feel the ground. It just felt very surreal. Because at this point, I'd figured, well, he just doesn't want to know me. So we talked for the first time the next day. We started emailing and we talked for the first time the next day, and off on the down the rabbit hole I went.
Mm.
Um, and here we are 5 years later, more than 5 years. And um, we communicate, but my brother, who is my half brother, his son, and I are close. And that's been my silver lining.
Yeah.
And Scott and I are close, and Scott's actually dealing with an illness right now. So there has been some communication, but
Hmm.
it's truly around Scott, and I'm okay with
Mm,
that. You know, I very much take steps to protect myself now.
good. Yeah.
Um, yeah. So I have peace with the fact that I have a good relationship with my brother, and I'll do whatever I can do for him.
Hmm.
And you know,
Yeah,
it's a growth experience, right?
definitely is. And I think learning to navigate those difficult kinds of characters and the really tough boundaries you have to be able to do that, and the level of self-care that you have to access
Hmm.
to get through it, I think that that is a great thing to learn. And for me, I mean, as a survivor of narcissistic abuse, it's really helped me to deal with difficult characters a lot better and to identify red flags a lot faster
Hmm.
and to put those boundaries in place a lot quicker so that things don't escalate, or I don't
Absolutely.
allow somebody else to let me feel that way because I've already seen it and I already put the prevention in place. And it's
Hmm.
definitely a learning curve because I think people like that, it's difficult when you have them in your life and they've been someone that has been able to trigger you, because they do still try and pull those tabs. They do still try and
Hmm.
activate it, and that's part of their enjoyment. So it is quite
Hmm.
hard resetting that and learning to take a step back sometimes, because I think it's very natural as well when you're a really empathetic person. And of course, I mean, you're a nurse, like, you are a
Yes.
really kind person. It's really hard to have to be so cautious with people
Hmm.
and
It
not give
doesn't come
someone the.
second nature.
Yes, and it's like to not give someone the benefit of the doubt doesn't feel
Hmm.
natural, does it? So
No.
part of you
Mm-mm.
really wants to see like the best in them, but it's actually for your
Yep.
own good. You have to fully accept that's who they are. There's no changing. There's not going to be any glimmers of hope and they're not going to transform. It's like that's what you have
You
to
can't
accept.
you can't change them. You can only change how you react to them. And your word
Absolutely.
boundaries are so important. It's
Hmm.
invaluable. And you say self-care, and for so long I did everything I could to have that relationship and to make both him and his partner happy.
Mm.
And finally realizing it was never about me
Yeah.
was huge. And now coming on the other side of that, recognizing and putting yourself back together, because one thing that I think really threw me was how much it messes with your self-esteem.
Oh, it's
And
terrible.
add
Yeah.
in add in that dynamic that this is my birth father
Hmm.
that I've always wanted to know, and I
Oh,
really truly wanted that relationship, and they're a part of me at 50%, that
yeah.
connection, and seeing things where the genetic mirroring, we look a lot alike,
Oh, absolutely.
very similar bone structure.
Mm.
We're both writers.
Mm. And I
Um,
think as well, like something really important for me reading it, as I'm a twice orphaned adoptee, so my biological parents and my adoptive parents have passed away. Same with you, right?
mhm.
And something that
Yeah,
I've
my
noticed is that makes you really vulnerable as well, because if you
mhm.
already don't have that.
Yeah, my adoptive parents are both gone. My
Mm.
dad passed away about, let's see, it was 2010, so about 15 years ago, and my mom passed away right before my daughter was born, so
Yes.
25 years ago. Nick is still alive. Yeah, but, I just mentioned I
Yeah.
still have some communication with him, but
Mm.
it does feel very. I think I use those words. You feel like an orphan when you lose your parents.
You absolutely do. Yeah, yeah. And the child in you lives forever, doesn't it? So you are
Hmm.
still rocked. That part of you is still rocked. And something else that I really noticed as well that really angered me was the way that he really tapped into your inner child.
Hmm.
So he called you actually because your name was changed, wasn't it? Um,
Yes, he called me Michelle all
yes.
the time.
Hmm.
And if he called me Lisa, it was only because he was angry, and it ripped me. It just tore me open. Um, and the other
Yes.
day, for the first time, he called me Michelle because I was talking to him about my brother, and I said, "My name is Lisa."
Good for
And there was just
you.
so much power in being able to say that.
Yeah. Amazing.
Kind of, yeah, reclaiming and taking care of that little girl inside me.
Mm. Yes, because I mean, he wanted access to pull the strings on that, didn't he? He wanted access to your
Yes.
inner child. And that's something that I've seen that's consistent with narcissistic abuse as well. They want to know all about your inner child and wounds and stuff so that they can puppeteer it for their own benefit. Um, but something I noticed as well about his partner was that she doesn't have a lot of family either, does she?
Mm-mm. No, no, she never had children.
Mm.
And yeah, so no, she didn't or doesn't.
Yeah, I couldn't help but feel compassion for her actually reading it, thinking, I wonder what her story is and how vulnerable he's made her feel and how much she
Yeah,
probably believes she does need him.
absolutely. No, I can find empathy, even though the way she treated me was so incredibly painful. I can find empathy.
Mm, yeah. But I also know as well, like, you know, with the triangulation and the smearing campaign that narcissists
Mhm.
do, which he did very well with you, with her, always moaning about her to you and telling you the worst
Mhm.
stories to make you really, you know, not like her and feel bitter and resentful towards her, knowing really fully well reading that, thinking he's doing exactly the same about you to her. And then
Mhm.
the amount of work he's done on her over the years to crush her self-esteem, to make her think that she needs him, to make her believe that the whole world's against them and anyone else is a threat to their dynamic and they might take away the one thing that she's got that is wonderful in her life that actually causes her so much misery. I was just like, oh my goodness, like this
Yeah.
woman, like you just want to. And people like that can make you act really crazy because they really do make you believe that you need them, but it's the other way
Oh,
around.
I absolutely did things I can't imagine how I did it. Dropping everything just dropping everything and flying somewhere within, a couple hours notice because they need me and then only to be abused.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
This is
did I did things I don't even understand how I did it.
no, it's just playing
Looking
on that,
looking back.
activating like a rescuer syndrome in you, isn't it? And again, I
Mhm.
think, you've already said it yourself, sort of playing the strings on that wound you had with feeling like you needed to do something in
Mhm.
order to feel accepted and loved. It's like, I think that these people are very, very clever in understanding your wounds and exactly how to manipulate them.
Well, they're actually brilliant if you think
Mm.
about it.
Oh, yeah. Really, really impressive.
Yes, he is a very smart man.
Yeah. Yeah. And how is your communication with her? Is there any communication at all with his partner or no? No.
None. No. I'm okay with
Mm.
that.
Yeah. Well, I imagine it's a lot easier that way.
Yeah, and my communication with him is pretty limited to just talking about my brother.
Mm.
And I plan to keep it that way. That's what's healthy for me.
Yes. And I did see actually a statistic on adoptees being more likely to have health and social care degrees and to be in nursing.
I think I saw similar on you with folks who have ADHD, right? That are going to be more in a caregiving capacity. I saw
Mm.
that in your book. Um, but yeah, I think I never saw myself growing up. I don't remember when I decided to be a nurse. I was so young that I don't remember ever wanting to be anything but.
Aw, that's so lovely. And I'm glad you had such a great experience with your adoptive parents, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, I did. I did. They were very special.
Yeah,
They were
like
special.
reading your book, I really got that, like how close you guys were.
Hmm.
That's wonderful. And I could really relate to you as well, looking after them. I did the same with my adopted parents as well. And I had quite a good relationship with them. And they made their mistakes, but it's because they didn't understand the adoptee experience. It's not because they.
Yeah, 100%.
Mm,
I think what's interesting about stories like ours where um we did have good adoptive parents is it helps you realize that even in the best circumstances, there's still loss and grief.
yeah.
And like Simon says, it's on a spectrum, of course,
Oh,
but
absolutely.
it's still there. And I think for me, it was finally letting that out in more recent years and accepting that,
Mm,
because even growing up, I definitely wasn't going to look for birth family while my mom was alive. I'll be honest. She said, if you ever want to look, I support you. But my bond with her was strong, and I felt so indebted to her and so close to her that and maybe she would have been okay with it. I didn't feel like I could do that because I didn't know how that would feel for her. So I really wanted to protect her.
that's really
So,
interesting. And I'm really glad you said that because I waited until both my adoptive parents had passed away. It was actually when my adoptive dad had passed away, and I had really bad drug problems when I was a teenager. And I think, I had a lot of grief going on, undiagnosed ADHD, all this stuff. And I didn't really understand my adoptee trauma. But when I was getting clean, it suddenly came to me that I need to find my roots. I need to find my history. I need to find where I come from. And I approached my adoptive mum about it, and she's like, but we have given you a nice life, haven't we? And I could see she just felt bad. And I was like, oh, I can't do it. So I couldn't do it because I felt
yeah,
guilty. And I could
yeah,
tell that it was painful for her.
yeah.
And I did feel indebted, but I also felt really resentful because I thought, like, why couldn't you just encourage me? Do you know what I mean? But
Hmm.
it's good to know that even in a sort of circumstance where your adoptive mum was quite encouraging and
Hmm.
receptive, that you still felt that, because I was like, was it the way that she made me feel guilty for her emotion? Or, but it's true,
Hmm.
there was part of me that did feel indebted, definitely.
Yeah. And again, I don't blame them. I don't know how I would
No.
feel as an adoptive parent, and I had such a close relationship with my adopted daughter. Um, I think they do the best they can. All right, and I know my parents.
Mm,
And again, I can't speak for everyone. Obviously, there are
no.
adoptees I've met or talked with or heard stories that have tragic stories
Oh, I
of
know.
adopted that are abusive, and so I honor that. Um, and again, just really reinforce that we all have different stories. There are things that I think we can all understand and relate through our stories,
Mm,
but
yeah, definitely.
yeah, for me, I had wonderful parents growing up. I have wonderful birth family on my mom's side. And
Mm,
now I have a very difficult story of a painful situation and painful experience on my birth father's side. So it's kind of the whole spectrum, and it's the scope of what you can deal with when you're an adoptee.
absolutely. And I really admire you sharing your story. I think it's so important for other people that have had difficult adoptions, or difficult situations. I already know one other person I've connected with that has, a similar situation. It must be incredibly difficult to talk about, and to write a book and put it out there and let other people know you're not alone. This is really tough, yeah, but me
Mhm.
too. That's so admirable. But also, what it really illustrated to me was how important it is to be transparent with adoptees. And I think sometimes we think just with kids full stop that we're protecting them by not telling them the truth, but kids can handle a lot more than we think they can. And there's always child-friendly ways to put things without having to completely hide things. And you can always revisit it later on and help them see it through a different lens.
And
Or
I
maybe
think too
add a bit more.
they're gonna understand it in layers. I mean,
Yes.
I think,
Yeah.
my mom told me as young as I can remember that I was adopted. So I don't remember
Mm,
not knowing. And I don't remember how old I was when she told me your birth mom was raped, but she knew the guy. But I remembered it. But at the time, I don't think I could process it. And I don't think it
no.
really kind of came back to me until later when I met my birth mom's family. I think that's when I kind of like really started to wrap my head around that in my 30s.
Yeah, and then the actual conversation around it was quite vague, wasn't it? It's like you didn't really get a definitive answer as to what happened. So I
Well,
felt like,
he denies it.
mm,
My birth aunts, my one birth aunt has memories that she identifies as verifying that that did happen.
yeah,
And my other aunt wasn't sure. So I think,
mm,
you know, it you don't necessarily want that to be your story.
no,
So when my birth father told me a different story, how that didn't happen, I globbed onto that and held onto that for dear life for a while because I didn't want that to be my story.
yeah,
But
absolutely.
now I'm kind of, it's gray, and it's okay that it's gray. There's some beauty and peace in accepting the gray.
Mm. And I think something I noticed with us adoptees as well is I think when we are on our healing journey, having that power that we regain control over our own narrative and we learn to reclaim our narrative, I think that is so powerful. And I think that's why a lot of us do so well in our lives, because we've created such a compelling narrative for our lives that I think it just pours out into the world. And I just see like some adoptees just doing really meaningful, great work. And I just think there's so much heart and richness in their story. But I think that's all part of their experience.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's wonderful. And it's so wonderful to see you stepping out and sharing your story as well. I think it's amazing.
Oh, look who's coming to see us.
Oh, hello.
That's
But
Sebastian. Sebastian's
so
only
cute.
5 months old.
And
He's
remind me, what type of cat? It's the
he's a
Devon.
Devon Rex.
Yes.
Devon, yep. He's a
Yeah.
Devon Rex. Yeah, he came from up in the Upper Peninsula in Michigan. But he's very much my daughter's kitty. But that's okay.
Oh.
That's all right. We love him. We lost our Tiffany back in February. She was a Devon. She was only 9. She had stomach cancer. But same
Oh.
breeder, new line, different line, but same breeder. We got our Sebastian now. I just think they're amazing cats, the Devon Rexes. He's got such a cool personality. They say they're like monkey dogs. They're monkey, cat, and dog all combined because they're playful, they're silly. Like he'll come, if I meow to him, he'll come running across the room.
Oh, that's so cute. I love them. Yeah, because we messaged, didn't we? And you said you was getting one. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh yeah, I know that breed. And you're like, how do you know this breed? It's because my daughter's autistic, and one of her special interests is cats. And so she has these like little cat mini encyclopedias and stuff that she carries around with her. And then she has a big textbook at home, and she knows all the breeds, all of them. And she
I
can
love
just
that.
randomly tell you facts about cats. And she's
I
mapped
love
out her
that.
own business one day. She wants to have like a cat hotel, And she also wants to rescue cats as well. So she's like, I'm going to make money from looking after people's cats when they go on holiday. And then I'm going to use some of it to rescue cats. And then you're going to be able to come into a cafe and adopt some. And I'm like, wow, look at you, this complex business
That's a
plan.
real thing. That's a real thing. We have a house sitter that comes when we go out of town and comes and watches. I thought Chloe was sitting here. We got a little poodle, Chloe, and Sebastian. She comes to the house and stays with them. So
Mm.
she's got something going there. That's definitely something she could do. Love that.
Oh,
People need people to take care of their pets.
absolutely. Yeah. And she's like, she's 8 now and she's started to realize that there's things that she's just not really good at. And I'm like, it's okay because no one's good at everything. And you just follow your passions, right? And your
And that's what's
daughter
been.
is gone into nursing as well, hasn't she?
Yeah, she just passed her boards as a pediatric nurse practitioner. She's a
Okay.
school nurse, and she is in her last year of her doctorate, so she's getting her DNP. She's going to graduate in May of 26, and then probably get
Mm.
married the year after that. So, yeah,
Oh,
lots of big stuff going on for her.
lots of proud mummy moments for you as
Yes,
well.
yeah, it's very surreal. It goes by too fast. Enjoy.
It does. I
It
mean,
goes.
everybody says it, but it really does.
Yeah.
I still feel like I remember her being a baby, like it really wasn't that long ago. And it's,
Now it goes by so fast. Yeah, Izzy's
yeah.
25 and it's hard to believe, especially because she's not left home. I feel like I'm going to have her forever.
Oh, it's lovely though. It's lovely.
Yeah.
And you guys have got a really strong bond, haven't you?
Mhm.
And for you as well, obviously being an adoptee and not in a closed adoption and not having access to, people that look like you, that genetic
Mhm.
mirroring. How was it for you with your daughter actually having a part of you and being able to look at them and see yourself in
Well,
somebody else?
she looks like her dad, but she looks like me.
She does look
And
like you.
yeah, so it's funny because when she was a baby, she really favored Bruce. She had Bruce's eyes, but it's funny you say that because it was so important to me. And it took me a couple years to get pregnant. And I was really
Mm,
scared I wasn't going to be able to, just for no reason, because there is unexplained, infertility. And I was so afraid. And part of that was I've never had anyone that was genetically mine in my life.
mm,
So he was the first person that, shared my genetics. And it was very powerful. When I found out I was pregnant, it was probably the happiest day of my life. I was just
oh,
very, very afraid I wasn't going to be able to get pregnant. And when I did, there were no words. There were no
oh,
words.
it's
Yeah,
wonderful.
she's amazing. She's amazing.
No, she is
I feel
amazing.
really blessed.
You can see how close you guys are with the pictures and stuff that you post. It's very
Yeah.
adorable. It's so
My
cute.
Instagram is so eclectic.
Good.
It's
It's
it's my
interesting.
daughter, it's my, menopause and breast space, it's adoptee. I have the adopted nurse too that I Instagram, but I find that everything just kind of blends. I told my one friend, I said, do I look scattered? And he goes, no, you're like a diamond, lots of facets. I said, okay, I'll take that.
Yeah, we like
I'll
that.
take that. I'll take
It's
that.
very
Yeah.
true. Don't rein yourself in.
No,
Definitely.
no. Everyone's like, what's your niche? I'm like, I don't know, just about everything.
I think, when you just are like vibrating at your authentic self, I think it just is magnetic.
hmm
When anything is forced, you can feel it. It doesn't feel right, does
hmm
it? So
No, I
yeah,
think you're right. Yeah, obviously I told all my tea. I really do believe in being authentic.
you
I got
do.
my I got all my guts out there for everybody to see.
And you've got what I really love about your book as well is that I do feel like it is um the adult that I wish was around when I was a younger adopted person, not really understanding why I felt so different and stuff, like I couldn't find parts of myself in other people and didn't really know why. I wish that I'd stumbled across a book like yours to be able to
Oh,
understand myself better, because I think it is really empowering. And there's a lot of difficult themes in the book, but you do leave feeling really hopeful and rejuvenated. I think you really do that really well. I imagine you're incredible at your job as well, working with people. And again, in difficult situations a lot.
yeah. Yeah. I do have to tell people some difficult news sometimes.
Mm,
Yeah. And I think a lot about how I've been told difficult things and how it drives me to do a better job.
yeah, it's amazing. It's so good.
Well,
And
thank you.
I wanted to talk to you quickly as well about the fact that we don't get access to genetic testing as adoptees.
Hmm.
This always really surprises people when I bring it up, because I like to
Yeah.
educate people from time to time on their adoptee issues. And people are like, "What, really?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you just if you go to the doctors, like I went to the doctors a while ago and had some symptoms that could be breast cancer. So I went to the doctors and they said, well, does it run in your family? Does breast cancer run in your family? And I said, no, but this is the second time I've been here now. And just because I don't have access to my family origins to know where I don't know, basically, because I'm adopted, but just because I don't have access to that information shouldn't mean that I don't get access to the genetic testing, because if I did know, you would send me forward for it. And just because I don't know, it doesn't mean no. It means there's a
100%.
possibility. And so I got really frustrated, and I didn't leave that room until she'd sent me forward for testing of some sort. Because I
Hmm.
said, you know, this is the second time I've been here now, and you can't wave me off just because I don't have access to my family origins. It's just not
Well,
fair.
good for you. Good for you that you advocated for yourself in that way, because you should.
Mm,
But unfortunately, not everybody is going to be that forthcoming and advocate for themselves. And then who's going to advocate for adoptees that don't know? And that was one of the posts I did not
yeah.
too long ago. When we look at family history, no family history is not the same as unknown family history. It's not the same.
Yes.
Why do we treat it the same? The models that we use to look at your individual risk for breast cancer, they treat that the same, unknown
Mm,
and no. And that's not how it should be. And what's the answer? I'm not 100% sure what the answer is, but I do
mm,
think it comes with some careful consideration when healthcare providers are taking care of people who are adopted, is take into consideration that you don't know the family history. And maybe we go the extra mile and say, you know what, maybe you're 5 years sooner than, most of our guidelines are we start mammograms at 40 for average risk. Well, maybe we should, if as long, if your insurance covers it or it's not too much out of pocket, maybe we just get that mammogram. Maybe we
yeah.
start your screening taking into account that you don't know.
Mm,
I think, again, I don't think we have the answers because, I don't think the work's been done in that area,
no.
but at least take that into consideration and don't just blanket your recommendations based on no family history.
Yeah, absolutely. I could tell when, if I was younger, by the way, I would not have advocated for myself like that. It's just because I'm older and I understand my experience more, and that
Exactly.
it's not okay, actually, and that I do need to stand up for myself a little bit more sometimes in those situations to get what everybody else gets access to and I don't.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
but I could tell that the GP actually just felt she wasn't, being unfair by saying, well, no, I can't do anything for you. She just was not informed. It's like she'd never
Hmm.
been in that situation before. So she's just like looking like, I don't really know what to say to you. And I'm like, well, you need to do this.
Hmm.
Like, but it was insightful for me because I was like, well, you don't really know how to deal with me, do you?
No, no. I think that every time someone, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I take care of someone and I say, do you have any family history of breast cancer? Well, I don't know, I'm adopted. And I just look at them and I think, well, that's not the same, is it?
No.
So I just, but again, I'm living the experience. So that's where coming at being a healthcare provider with that lived experience makes a difference. And not everybody's going to have that lived experience, but maybe we need to spread more awareness.
I think so. I would like to see more training on
Hmm.
adoptee and care experienced people as well in general. I would
Hmm.
like to see a lot more training on it. I actually created one to do for a placement that I've just finished. And I was really nervous to do it because I included a lot of, issues and stuff and international issues because I worked with asylum seekers and refugees. I was really, really nervous because some of it was quite personal. And they absolutely loved it. They couldn't get enough of it. They didn't leave me alone. I was trying to pack up and go home, and people just kept coming to talk to me. And I was just like, oh my God, I've got to get
Oh,
out of
I
it.
love that.
But,
I love that.
and I created like a sort of like a how-to guide for professionals on how to approach and work with care experienced people and how to support them and the issues they might be facing and how to send them advice and guidance even if they don't want to receive it, like how to sort of navigate that. And
Hmm.
I sent links to like videos and books to help them become more trauma aware. And I just was like, I felt so good about it, and I just thought this should exist like everywhere
Hmm.
because I was really shocked at just how little people know in general straight off the bat when I ask, if mention adoption to you, what's your first thought? And everyone's just got this fairy tale narrative of it. This is going to be a long
It's
session.
that's very adoptive parent centric, I think, and less adoptee
Yeah.
centric.
Yes, and part of me does think that that must be because of the marketing that I feel people without lived experience felt had to occur to
Hmm.
market it for, families to feel like, oh, if you can't have a child of your own, it's okay. You can have this child, and for for them to feel like it's just going to become like an extended family member that they've always wanted, which is
Hmm.
not the case.
Hmm.
Yeah. So it's very
No,
layered during that training, and I learned a lot. I thought, wow, this is complex. How am I going to simplify it? Because we do speak adoptee, don't we?
yes. That's amazing that you did that though. And I love that you pulled in the trauma informed care. I've learned so much about being trauma informed. I think when
Mm.
you're a trauma survivor,
Mm.
your lens is one way, but then I think also learning all the dynamics in translating how much more compassionate you can be and look at caring for others through that lens. Like, your lived experience, but how can you translate that into something healthy and care for others through that lens? I think it
I
takes a
think
lot of healing to do that.
it does. It really, really does. I think because as well, like when you haven't done the work on yourself, everything can be triggering, can't it? So other
Mm-hmm.
people's trauma that, reminds you of anything remotely to do with parts of yourself that you haven't worked on
Mm-hmm.
could be too triggering to even sit with. But I do find like I've been working with extremely marginalised communities recently, and they do find it really easy to open up with me and stuff. And I've built some really incredibly good, strong professional relationships that I'm quite good with hard to reach people. But I think it's because from an energetic standpoint, they kind of get that I'm not bullshitting them as well when I sit with them, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
sort of like take my time, and I don't as well say I know how you feel when I don't, but I can tell them like a lived experience story or something that makes them realize, okay, she doesn't know my experience, but she does kind of get it. And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
so powerful, so powerful. I find
Very.
people really open up when they know that you've been to places too. So I'm a big
Mm-hmm.
fan of self disclosure, but in the right way.
Yes, you are a fan of self disclosure. I loved some of your self disclosure in your book. I
Oh my
loved it.
goodness.
And
I was,
you gave readers a warning. You said, "Okay, this might be TMI, but here it comes."
it is TMI though, isn't it? It's way
I loved
TMI.
it. Not for me, but I mean, as a healthcare provider, I'm like, "Oh yeah, that happens. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, that's happened." Everybody has a story like that. Yeah, you can't take care of women and not hear a story like that.
I just couldn't believe it when it happened to me. But also that when I went rummaging online and I found threads about it on Reddit
Mhm.
of other women that it happened to,
Oh
and
yeah.
them saying
Oh
it's to
yeah,
do with
it
their
definitely
ADHD, and
happens.
I was like, oh my god.
I think
So
even without ADHD, it happens. I trust me. I've been in women's health a long time. I've heard that story many times. Yeah, more
yeah,
common than you would think. It happens.
but I think there is a few different. I think you don't necessarily have to have a condition to have poor short term memory either, do you? Like every time I experience emotional trauma, like my short term memory is again
Trauma,
severely impacted. Yeah. And sometimes you can
100%.
be really overwhelmed and busy. I think that there's so much demands on us now more than
Yes.
ever. It's hard to keep all the plates spinning sometimes. So,
And then throw menopause in.
oh, I know. And people keep saying to me, wait till you reach menopause. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be approaching
Well,
you
there's
for
help. There's a
tips.
lot of help. There's a lot of help for that. It doesn't have to be like that. Just do what you do, where you speak up and you advocate for yourself, and you'll get what you need, and you take care of it. It doesn't have to be like that.
I would absolutely love to talk to you about like women's health and hormones, though, sometime.
Oh yeah,
Definitely.
I'd love to do that. We should do that. Yeah, we
Yeah.
should do that.
Because I feel like there's so many different things that I could speak to you about. But yeah, thank you for talking about your story today. And
Well,
I
thank
really
you.
want
Thank you for
everybody
having
to
me.
have you got your book to hold up?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I really want everybody to read this book. It's so good. It's such an easy read. And I love some of the metaphors you throw in as well. Like you actually are a really good writer. Some of them
Oh,
had me
thank
really
you.
feeling joyful, like when you were pregnant and you were eating, I think we were eating the cookies or something, and you felt like a Botticelli painting. I was like,
The chocolate
I was
covered
there.
graham crackers that I was feeding myself, laying there in all my pregnant glory. When they say don't eat too much right before you go into labor, and I'd had pizza followed by, yeah, the graham cracker, the chocolate covered graham crackers, just one right after the other. And then I shifted my weight, and there we go. Water broke, and yeah, there I was. That's exactly what happened too. It's exactly how I felt. Laying on the couch, just one right after the other. Yeah,
Oh, I love it. But yeah, it's been so good talking to you.
you
Um,
too, Susie. It's been a real pleasure. It's been a long
yeah,
time coming, and it's been a real pleasure, and we need to do it again.
definitely. And I will sort the sound out before we even get on. Actually,
Oh, it's all good. It's all good.
I figured out before I actually came on that you can actually schedule it. I didn't realise that. So what we'll do is next time I'll schedule it and it will automatically send you the invite when it's scheduled. So we'll already
Perfect.
be organised. Because I can't do
Perfect.
this
No,
sound thing again.
this is great. You're more techie than me. I don't even know how to start a live. So my daughter was sitting next to me helping me kind of plug in.
Oh, bless her.
So you're doing great.
Oh, thank you,
I
lovely.
need all the millennials and all the people in my life that know how to do this stuff. So perfect.
Yeah, we all need each other, don't
Yep.
we?
Yes,
So
we
yeah,
do.
you take care
Yeah.
and speak to
You
you
too.
soon.
Yeah. Thank you, Susie. Bye, Susie.
Bye.